Now, when I look at things where people do things really well, where they're not afraid to fail, I find it really interesting to observe that because typically where people are don't fail or are not afraid to fail are in areas where they are not really interested or they don't find very important. So like because there's no important, there's no pressure, so they just do it and so they get good at it. Or like it's an area where they enjoy doing something. It's like just inherently something pleasant about it. So because it's pleasant, they don't. It's kind of like the pleasure masks the pain and it helps with the pain of failure, or they don't even notice it and just keep doing it without it. And so those are the areas where people are just typically not afraid to experience failure. The last category is the true masters, and I haven't seen anyone get there just not caring about it or just enjoying the subject matter or whatever the activity is, but are the people who've actually put in a significant amount of work and actually really gained some significant amount of skill. And those people, at some point, even if you start an activity that you find extremely enjoyable, at some point it becomes painful because the higher you go, the more difficult mastery becomes. And so at some point it stops being enjoyable, even if it was enjoyable in the very beginning. Whether, it's like martial arts. You start and like maybe you're really talented, but then as you get better and better and as you reach higher new heights, it becomes more and more difficult. Same thing with whatever skill it is. Chess. Maybe in the very beginning you were doing really well and you thought you were really good, and then you start meeting people who are like just as talented, and so on and so forth. Like whatever it is we achieve in life, it becomes more difficult. And at some point, we have to walk to the gate of learning how to deal with competition and failure. And those people, they really have a certain sense of mastery, and they don't get deterred because they have found acceptance with it. And so those are like the groups of people. Now, here is something that's counterintuitive, which is the area where I see people having the most amount of pain is actually in the areas that they care about. The areas that involve the dream, or the areas that involve, something that they deeply care about and passionate about. And those areas, oftentimes, people have a lot of pain associated with it, with failure. And it makes sense. It's counterintuitive. You'd think that if you're passionate about something that you wouldn't, but actually those are the areas where people are the most frozen about. And so over the years that I've been doing work, I found that the truly vulnerable areas, the areas that you care the deepest about, typically stay hidden because people are even afraid to even try it, or they want to be even more ready for it before they attempt it because they don't want to fail. So there's a lot of preparation where they either try and make more money, or they try and get better before they tell anyone, or they want to like practice a lot but they never get to it, and so on and so forth. And so the irony is the areas that we care most about, our deepest dreams, our deepest desires, what we want the most, ironically stay hidden. And we have a tremendous amount of fear of failing around those areas. And the longer we persist, the worse the sense of failure becomes. And we lose a lot of self-esteem, saying, I'm the kind of person that doesn't even try. But if we really think about it, it makes sense, because what we care about the most is the most vulnerable to us. And because we care so much, the last thing we want to find out for ourselves is that we're not good at it. And ironically, because we don't practice and we don't engage in it, we are not good at it because we don't get enough practice. So just this idea and this recognition that really we probably are the hardest on ourselves in the areas that we care about the most is probably helpful to understand that ironically, the areas that we don't care about, we're good at it because we don't care about failure. And so learning how to actually do things in spite of this vulnerability, and learning that we're giving ourselves extra emotional pain because we're trying to not fail, but to change a strategy to actually allowing ourselves to fail as much as we want, so that we can keep course correcting. Because the more you fail, the more course correction you can give. And that the secret to actually succeeding in the areas that we care about is course correction, which automatically entails failure. is key. So hopefully you can use this information to actually look at the areas that you care about and give yourself some slack and some exploration so that you can keep succeeding and keep course correcting until you reach your goal. Thank you.